There are probably thousands and thousands of recipes for stuffed peppers, and I'm going to give you another one today. We're going to do something called hot stuffed peppers. Now, depending on your ability to take pepper heat, you can vary that depending on the pepper that you use. And I come from a northern climate and I've never quite gotten used to all the heat, although you can adapt over time. I don't think I started early enough. So I might do it with this kind of pepper and assume that the heat means that it's simply baked. This is a bell pepper, and when you look at the ratings for heat, this basically comes out as 0. The recipe itself calls for any variety. It calls for Anaheim peppers. These are an example of that right here. Poblano or ancho peppers can also be used, and if you want it even hotter than that, you can go with it. As I said, I am a coward when it comes to the heat of peppers, so whenever I use anything hotter than a bell pepper, I pretty much will put on rubber gloves, and that keeps the chemicals, the capsaicin that is in the pepper away from my hands so that you don't get the burn in the long run. Now, if you look at the pepper itself, there's a lot of discussion as to where the heat comes from. And a lot of folks think it's in the seeds. The seeds actually have none of the heat, although they can be contaminated with the capsaicin that is in the rest of the pepper in the membranes. So what you want to do is remove that part if you don't want it hot. If you want it hotter, you can leave that in. The thing to remember is also to remove all these long strings that come in there, because a lot of the heat will be there as well. So that's the easiest way to get the heat away. Now, there are different kinds of capsaicin in the pepper, different varieties of the chemical, which is probably why you have some of the variation as to where the heat builds up in your mouth and in your body. You're going to pick up some of it in the mouth, in the front of the mouth. Some of it's going to hit you in the back of the mouth, and some of it's going to get you later on clear down in your gut, because it's gradually going to be released. It is an oil-based compound, and so you're going to have to get rid of it in some way. Milk is said to help a little bit because it kind of works like a detergent getting away oil, but basically the only remedy is time. All right, let's see what we're going to do with these. I have 4 of them that I've prepared. Now you can see there's still a seed in there, so you want to shake that out. And you're just going to line them up in a baking dish. And you can use different varieties of peppers. So I'm going to use some of each of them, and we're going to stuff them, but it's not as complex process as you might think. And our stuffing is real easy to make. I have a cup of corn kernels here. To that I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of chopped onion. Sweet onion is nice with this because of it contrasts so well with the pepper. I'm also adding a 1/3 of a cup of chopped green bell pepper, and that you can change if you want it to be spicier. You can, if you really want to zap people, go ahead with even a jalapeno. I've got 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, a cup of reduced fat cheese, and 1/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs. And you can use either fresh breadcrumbs or dried for this. It's really not a critical factor in this process. And just stir those together, and then we're going to put it inside the peppers, but we're not going to try and stuff them the way you often do with ground beef. We're just pretty much going to spread it over the pepper, and it will collapse into the peppers during the baking process. So just try and make sure that you get all the peppers with some of it around it. That's why you want to lay them together fairly close together in the pan. This is going to go in the oven and bake for 45 minutes at 350 degrees, and you'll be ready for dinner. "45 minutes later, you have what can be dinner or what can be part of dinner. We're trying to increase the amount of produce that we eat. This is a nice way to do it. It's high in vitamin C. Remember, you can reduce the heat in this by letting it cool down a little bit if you use milder peppers, or with a little bit of milk on the side. What we're going to do with a dairy product is we're going to serve it with some sour cream. Now, I'm using a reduced fat. You could use a non-fat sour cream, and just put some dollops of it on here and let folks spread it around. And if you're using the non-fat version, you can use a fairly hefty portion of it, which is one of the things that people like to do. They like to see a lot of cheese, and they like to see a lot of sour cream. And so this enables you to do that without increasing the calories quite so much. Remember, next time you've got a lot of peppers growing in the garden, this is an option, a way for you to use them. Hot stuffed peppers. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.